What is cracking, family? It is your baby mama's favorite cousin, Cousin T-Taw. And today we have nothing less than the best information regarding how a man can acquire the type of woman and the type of relationship that he desires. Yes, even though we are about the chase, even though we are about the scenario, even though we are about understanding what happens when we get the type of cooperation from the women that we are attracted to, even though we are about the exchange of energy, the exchange of erotic playtime, we do understand that there are men who desire more than just roster positions. And so the skill sets of seduction apply to them as well. But today, I'm going to be responding to a Patreon member's question. And it's actually a good question, and it's a question that I addressed in my book, The Seduction Scriptures, and the section going deep into the philosophy of how to be tactical when surveying the type of woman that you desire to acquire. And this question is, how would I seduce a celebrity? And the example given is none other than Meagan Good. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Meagan Good, this is, of course, a picture of her. As soon as you see her, you immediately realize who we are talking about today. And yes, I am going to go step by step. As you know how we do it in the House of Technicians, we give a 5-dimensional overview of how you are observing your target or observing the woman that you desire to acquire for whatever the dynamic of the exchange will be, at your determination. But what the environment should look like, but also what this approach means to you in your ultimate mission. Okay, so first let's go over her dimensions. So the first 3 dimensions, as always, include the physical, the mental, and the social. And so for this, we are going to assess a score. Fortunately, we're dealing with a celebrity, so celebrity social media is usually very carefully curated. And it contains a level of sophistication that is covered in my video regarding the 5 echelons of the Dyme piece. I'll leave a link down below for those who need to catch up. But basically, when you look at a celebrity's social media footprint, they have 3 of the most important elements of their lifestyle on display. The first one is how she looks in evening wear. They're always going to some award dinner, some charity banquet, obviously a primetime evening affair, okay, black tie event. So she has that covered. Second would be her casual look. Even though this is supposed to be candid, it's supposed to be haphazard, some daily, regular entry into society. This is highly curated. Obviously, the clothes, are designer of some sort, and the way that she's presenting them in this picture really shows, like I said, her level of sophistication. But keep in mind, this is a celebrity, so her social media is curated. So she definitely has the casual scene covered. Third, of course, would be the swimwear. And keep this in mind. Whenever I'm doing a one-on-one coaching session or a consultation, when a person presents, the object of his desire, I always try to get as much information from him that he already has. And the best source of that information is via social media. And I will say that 70% of women do not understand this dynamic of having a sophisticated digital footprint. And in that, she regularly presents these three aspects of her social life: the evening wear, the casual wear, and the swimwear. Obviously, we're dealing with a celebrity, so their social media manager is careful to make sure that they are presenting these three aspects. So obviously, she's got a 10 out of 10 with these elements that are present. So we'll move on to the physical. Now, in her heyday, in her prime, Meagan Good was the it chick. And she was easily a 9.5. Okay. Now that she is maturing in her space within the social scene, she is a solid 8. She is a sexy 8 from my perspective overall. Okay, still very top tier in terms of physical attributes and beauty, but like I said, she's maturing into that more classic beauty look. So the next dimension that I'm going to cover will be the mental aspect of who she is. And there's so many tells within this particular case study and her social media imprint, that it was not difficult in discovering where I would rank her on the Fae sort of hierarchy. Okay, so anyone not familiar with the Fae group, it's my observational tool that I call the female group hierarchy, covered on page 41 of the Seduction scriptures. And basically, it is how orientate themselves within a hierarchical structure in order to have a bit of social mobility. So they use this grouping as a social vehicle, and sometimes it continues. If women within the group marry, sometimes there are challenges for lead positions within this group, but nonetheless, this is a phenomenon that I've observed and that I've published in my book, The Seduction Scriptures. So what this gives us insight into in terms of a woman's mentality, at least at the surface or observational level, is how she interacts and orientates herself within a group of women who have varying social stature, varying social IQs, varying degrees of emotional intelligence as well. And so these particular sort of levels are what I have observed from the perspective of an observer and a man who seduces, is in terms of how they display their mentality within that spectrum. And so looking at this particular video that Meagan had on her feed, it really shows an interesting dynamic that she has with her sister. And if you take a look at her sister's social media, you'll see that she's more outgoing, she's more outspoken, willing to take the lead in a scenario, but it does not qualify her sister as a queen bee per se. I rank her sister as a top mistress, and I won't get too far off into why. If you want a separate video for that, I'll do one. But I rank her sister as a top mistress, and how Meagan interacts with her sister is extremely telling. And I chose this still because in this video that they're engaging an audience with, Meagan often defers to her sister and goes as far as placing objects in front of her, which is a telltale sign. That is psychosomatic. Okay, that is a telltale sign of deference. And so I rank Meagan in terms of a female group hierarchy as the bottom mistress. So that means that she has a lot of hidden elements to her personality that she does not want to be displayed publicly. Now, how that could potentially display itself in a romantic interaction with a man who wants to get to know her, that's going to be up to the man to unpack at the appropriate time. So, like I said, for the mental, I give her the bottom mistress position within the female group hierarchy. Third dimension is the social. And shout out to the master teacher BGS Itmore for this. Of course, this is a observational tool that is on page 48 of my book, and it really serves as a great scale for the modern sort of social structure. And with today's case study being Meagan Good, she falls right into that 100 octane space on this scale. She is definitely, a high-level socialite in the public sphere. And as long as she is, acting or directing or in that space, should continue to be considered a 100 octane. Now, they transition. Athletes transition out of the 100 octane space. Socialites do. Sugar babies do, and time will determine where she lands once she transitions out of the 100 octane space. So here we come to the part where I like to issue my score. Now, my score isn't just an SMV, okay? It includes, her social ranking, where she is on the female group hierarchy, including the SMV. So for Meagan Good, we are going to give her a 100 octane social positioning, going to give her a bottom mistress on the female group hierarchy, and of course she is a sexy 8 on that mythical SMV scale. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Now let's get down to how you would seduce a celebrity. Technicians who have their copies of the Seduction scriptures already know, go to page 75. And for this, of course, since we're reading from the Seduction scriptures, I need to get the right music. Here we go. All right, here we go. So this is of the Communicate, Seduction 402, verse 5. It says, pro tip, here's the technician's Thanos snap. Unless she considers you to be a once-in-a-lifetime lay, like a dancer, rock star / rapper, doctor, out-of-town fling, etc., keep it casual. If you can maximize your presence, meaning outfit, frame, and sense presentation, and suggest to her that the best thing that could possibly ever happen to her, you may be leaving town tomorrow, tonight, soon, then by virtue of not wanting to miss the opportunity of a lifetime, she'll be down for the adventure of her lifetime with you, Thanos. Snap. You're both in bed exchanging orgasms. But here is the kicker, gentlemen. Pay attention to verse number 6. This is where the fourth dimension of the seducer and the sage format comes in. That is the energetic. We're dealing with the energy of a celebrity. Listen closely. Verse 6 says this. Interestingly enough, this is also how you would seduce a celebrity. By presenting yourself as the non-groupie, you provide a person of a certain status with an alternative to a fan lay, and show yourself as the once in a tour stop, once in a venue, once in a movie set, genuine person experience. Now, what that means, well, first of all, where this comes from is my experience in concert touring production management or production security management. And so over the course of about 8 years, I had the opportunity to travel to different stadiums and manage various backstage arrangements for just name a top tier group. Okay, and I'll put some pictures up just to show you some of the venues and some of the acts. But you also deal with friends of family. You also deal with celebrity friends of these artists. And so conversations are constantly happening. It is a part of the work dynamic in those spaces. So I've had firsthand exposure to what it takes to engage with people of a certain stature in that level, how quickly you have to be in and out of spaces, how professional you need to remain, and how, above all, discreet you must be with those situations. Your cousin will not be spilling any tea, okay? TMZ will not be getting any information about any interactions that I've had, even though, I appreciate those times, but I made sure that I took in those instructional moments, and as much as I can, I like to provide it to the listening ears of those members of the House of Technicians. So with that being said, the way that you would seduce or even approach a celebrity for an interaction would be to apply the technician's Thanos snap. All right, that brings us to the most important part, the fifth dimension of how you would approach this scenario. And that, gentlemen, is the timing. That is the timing. And of course, within Meagan Good's social media profile, she shows the ideal timing for men who are not in the Hollywood sphere, men who are not part of that upper echelon of the social strata or the 100 octane class, can have an opportunity to shoot their shot at her. Look no further than this post that she made.